Hey folks, it's Jim Butler from Hidden Histories of Leicester, and today I'm going to tell you some things perhaps that you didn't know about Aylestone village. Now, Aylestone was an Anglo-Saxon village, and its original name was Aylestone, which means Eagle's settlement. In 1086 in the Domesday Book, it's recorded as Aylestone, and it's belonging to Eleva, the Countess of Mercia. Aylestone Hall behind me is thought to be one of Leicester's oldest residential buildings, with the structure dating back to the 14th century. In fact, some of the timbers inside have been dated to have been trees that have been felled between the years 1333 and 1335. Over its 700-year history, unsurprisingly, it has been altered and bashed around and extended numerous times. Perhaps the most famous guest ever to have stayed here was King Charles I, who is thought to have stayed here during the Civil War siege of Leicester in May 1645. For more information on that story, check out my Hidden Histories of Leicester episode, An Uncivil War, for Leicester's bloodiest 48 hours. Prior to the Norman conquest, the Anglo-Saxon town of Leicester was ruled by 65 powerful men called the Burgesses. After the conquest, they became known as the Brethren of the Guild, and then later became known as the Freemen. They owned properties and had privilege across the town. In the 12th century, membership of the guild could be obtained in three ways. If you were the youngest son of an existing member, you could inherit membership through your father. If you were a native of Leicester, you could buy your way in for 3 shillings, which is quite a considerable amount. And if you're a foreigner, i.e. someone not from Leicester, you could buy your way in for 20 shillings. In 1920, the area known as Freeman's Meadows by the river was compulsorily purchased by the town corporation in order to build the electricity power station. This left just the Freeman's Common and Freeman's Cottages in the Freeman's portfolio. In 1965, both of these were sold off, one to become the cattle market and the other to become part of the University of Leicester. With the proceeds of those sales, the Freemen of Leicester purchased a huge area of land in Aylestone, and they created Freeman's Holt. To this day, Freeman's Holt is used by the freemen, aka the deputies of the guild, to provide accommodation and support for the freemen members and their widows. As mind-boggling as it sounds, in theory, beyond these gates behind me, there could be descendants from Leicester's Anglo-Saxon ruling elite from over 1,000 years ago. How utterly mind-bending is that? Yet pretty cool. The Aylestone Packhorse Bridge has stood here since the 1400s as a vital crossing for villagers, merchants and pilgrims to get across the River Soar. The idea being that these alcoves mean that pedestrians could safely step aside to allow fully loaded pack horses to come past without fear of getting crushed. For a very long time, this was the nearest point to the town south of West Bridge that you could cross to the other side of the River Soar. How crazy is that? Sandvie Lane, like its cousin in the town, Sandvie Gate, has a religious meaning, i.e. it means sacred way, sancta via. It is thought that pilgrims in the medieval times would use this road to go to a sacred spring on the other side of Aylestone village called the Holy Well. That's pretty cool. St Andrew's Church on Middleton Street behind me is literally in the heart of the village, with Middleton meaning middle of the settlement. It dates from about the 13th century, although it's likely there was an Anglo-Saxon church on the site earlier. By 1860, the population of the village was growing considerably, to the point where the Earl of Rutland, who owned the village, decided to give the church a piece of land on the other side of the road that they could use for a graveyard. Aylestone's governance by a single family, i.e. the Dukes of Rutland, for over 700 years meant that they kept Aylestone very much a rural backwater, especially during the 19th century expansion of the city. A link to Aylestone's agricultural roots are evidenced here by the fact there is still a working farm in the heart of the village, which still serves the villagers to this very day. But in 1869, the 6th Duke of Rutland decided to sell the entire village. Thankfully, most of the tenants were able to buy their bits of land. And then in 1892, almost the entire parish of Aylestone was incorporated into the borough of Leicester. Across the road on Middleton Street from the Union pub once stood the Japanese pleasure gardens. Inside, where these buildings are behind me, There were laid out formal gardens with rustic buildings with curved roofs to make them look Japanese. You could see parrots, cockatoos and even monkeys, and people would often come for the day and enjoy a leisurely stroll through the wildness and exotic Japanese pleasure gardens. In 1911, a gentleman named Gordon Biggs decided to build a wooden hut on the site of an old canal wharf down by Aylestone, and he named it the Aylestone Boathouse. And it soon became known for its excellent punting and rowing. Soon it was a huge tourist attraction with people coming here in the summer months to spend their long days. The boathouse was then expanded to have a dance floor and other entertainments, including a casino, and it was still going well into the 1960s. Such was its popularity. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey through Aylestone's amazing history, from royal visitors to holy ways to Japanese pleasure gardens. And hopefully next time you drive through or walk through the village, you'll look at it with perhaps a different pair of eyes. I'll see you next time.